gentlemen, boys and girls, donuts and munchkins, we are back with another episode of Eat the Donut. I have a very special guest on today, a client of mine who's had quite a journey, even before starting with me, but over the last, what I think it's been like two, maybe 2.5 years at this point. She's been absolutely crushing it, absolutely dominating, getting stronger, shedding the fat off, just doing an overall incredible job. So I wanted to have her on to share her insight and her story and some inspiration. But Katie Zielinski, what is going on?
Hello, thank you so much. I really appreciate being on. This is great.
Oh my goodness, I'm pumped, absolutely pumped for this conversation. It's getting to know you. I think we were talking about this last time on one of our last client calls, but how funny it's become where yes, we've been, coaching clients sort of relationship, but now it's just more of like, hey, how's Jack doing? How's Liv
Yeah.
doing? How the kids doing? How's the husband doing? How the dogs? Like our conversation and how much our relationship, at least on my end, has grown that I really enjoy obviously all the fitness and nutrition stuff, but just even knowing more about you and seeing how everyone's doing, whether it's like college stuff, job stuff, or whatnot, vacations you're going on.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna have to like call out Addie because if
Yeah.
she watched this and you didn't call out her name,
Oh, Addie, I apologize.
okay,
Addie.
it's gonna be a problem.
Addie's the one I bought the raffles from, right? Or is that Liv?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, I'm not sure to be honest with you. They were both Liv was in college then, Addie goes into college this year. So it must have been Liv. It was Liv.
Gotcha. Well, Addie, I apologize. I'm so sorry. I was just trying to ramble things off and not make it too long, but Liv, Jack, and Addie, the three, the three Zelinskis of Katie Zielinski. Um, well, anyways, Katie, let's get cranking into things. Can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background?
Sure. I have been in the healthcare industry for probably 30 years now. I work on the insurance side, though. I work for a health insurer,
Hmm.
and I head up an account management team, and I live in Connecticut. And, again, done that for many years for a couple of different plans. But since COVID, I actually work from home. My job is normally sales and account management, so we're typically on the road a lot. But ever since COVID hit, obviously, like many others
Sure.
on the business side, you had to very quickly adapt. And we did all of our broker calls, client calls, from home on Zoom, on Teams.
Right.
That's been, an interesting challenge, but also a blessing, from that perspective, too. You get a little bit more flexibility and
Hmm.
time with your kids as they've been growing up, and everything too. So that's been great. From a health journey perspective, I've always been one who's worked out, really, tried to stay in shape. Fun fact, Craig and I actually met at a gym
Oh,
30
cool.
years ago, or 32, 33 years ago, something like that. So it's just always been sort of part of our, sort of core of like what
Mm.
we would do, just trying to stay in shape. And, through three pregnancies and everything, certainly challenges from that perspective.
Sure.
But I have to say, I never sort of had the challenge of not being as self-aware as I was during pregnancies. And granted, my kids are literally 18, 20, and
Hmm.
23 now. So the child part of it has been sort of long gone. But when COVID hit and we were working from home and I've been working on a huge project, you just don't realize how sedentary you become.
Sure.
I didn't have an Apple Watch at that point. Most certainly do now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I truly had no idea how many steps are you even taking in a day. And if I could fit in a workout, I would. We're lucky that we have a gym in an area over our garage.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, but enough stuff that we can certainly get in excellent workouts.
Hmm.
So it wasn't that I didn't have things here. I didn't have motivation, and at that point, didn't really have a ton of time.
Hmm.
It wasn't until probably summer of 2021, because I think we'll be working together 2 years come September.
Okay.
Um,
My timing was way off on that then.
yeah, no,
I feel
no,
like
and
it's
then
been
I
like
had
three
worked,
years.
yeah, then I'd worked with a friend of yours actually for a year, maybe a year and a half,
Hmm.
before then. And it wasn't until I saw a picture of myself a beach vacation we had
Yeah.
taken in 2021 where I was like, where did that come from? Like, I've
Yeah.
never been one of those people who have not been self-aware. Like, especially again after pregnancies, you go,
Yeah.
you're gaining weight, like, all right, I got to get back. I don't fit into my
Sure.
suits. I don't fit into, but I think like everyone, you're wearing sweatpants pretty much
Mhm.
every day, or
Yeah.
like very comfy shorts that you just truly don't realize it. And I was pretty horrified. I mean, at
Yeah.
that point, I was probably maybe 30 pounds um, over where I had like my normal, happy sort of place
Sure.
then. So it was one of those things where I had started going to a gym,
Mm.
actually a CrossFit gym, which I loved for the camaraderie and,
Yeah.
and everything else, but it's a beating. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Did it for, quite a while,
Sure.
but then COVID had hit, and we weren't able to go into the gym and everything. But again, at that point, I was really doing it sporadically. Um, and I really needed something where I would be able to work out from home. And this is my dog, as
Yeah,
you can
yeah. For the viewers who are watching on YouTube,
exactly.
you can
Um,
see the dog Katy. There's Katy,
yeah,
who I'm t talking to, and her pup called
I
also
did
Katy.
not name my dog Katy. For those of you who don't know me, she was a 2.5-year-old Newfoundland that we got. Hello, and her name was already Katy, and I wasn't going to change it. And I'm like, I don't call anyone Katy. What do I care? But anyway, so I really had to sort of shift my focus to, getting back to watching what I was eating, um, and then the workout part of it, and really adapting to working out from home. Like it was
Yeah.
just not something that previously, like I loved the camaraderie of, sort of team workouts, even if you were kind of working individually,
Yeah.
from a CrossFit perspective. So it was definitely a mind shift, but also for me too, it was even with the food, just getting back to really sort of the basics of, I'm not even really sure how much I'm putting in my mouth at a given
Yeah.
meal. Like how much, chicken is this? So even if I'm eating chicken or I'm eating a salad or I'm having some croutons on it or, whatever it may be, I really had to start weighing, food, which I know
Yeah.
is, something where people like just cringe
Sure.
and say, oh my God, I can't be doing that. It's too, time consuming. For me, I found it to be something that you just sort of do it. I mean, I'm one who eats a lot of the same kind of
Yeah.
foods from just of like, my meals, protein shakes and like, egg whites and oatmeal and,
Yep.
salads, those types of things.
Hmm.
But the weighing is definitely something that's, been pretty important to me that
Hmm.
for some things I still continue to do. And
Hmm.
others I don't because you sort of know what you know from
Sure.
that. But so yeah, long and long of it. And then I had moved with Kevin. It'll be 2 years in September.
September. Yeah.
And just loved the philosophy of, the workouts. And then I think one of the bigger things for me too was the cardio part of it,
Yeah.
where I'd come from that mentality of you just got to be killing yourself. You've either got to be running, you've got to be doing a CrossFit, you've got to be doing, something like that. And to really be able to embrace and see results by doing 10,000 steps a day.
Sure.
Like it's not hard. Everyone, can do it. It's, finding the time,
Yep.
um, certainly, but just knowing that it's not this magic bullet that you need to try to, do some crazy thing. And even for me, I didn't want to spend the time driving to the gym and then, coming back and
Right.
trying to figure all that sort of stuff out. So, and again, I know I'm fortunate that we have, some workout stuff here, but it's the
Yeah.
majority of, and since you program my
Yeah. Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
the majority of them are, just dumbbells and, other things that I very rarely use.
Hmm.
A lot of the machines that we have, in the house that you really can get a great consistent workout and
Right.
not have this full, breadth of work
Right. Right.
like
No.
they use at the gym.
Yeah, and so many great things you said there overall that I just want to touch on. The theme from like everything you just said was, it sounds like it was a lot of just recreating awareness because
Mhm.
it's like one of those things where maybe you just didn't know what you didn't know as far as like what's the evidence, what's the data of things, like simply having an Apple Watch, not knowing like dang, I was pretty sedentary until I realized, put on this watch and it's telling me I'm very low on steps when I just thought I was doing better than we can. And the funny part about awareness, like here's a funny stat. I don't know the exact stat. So listeners who are listening into this, take this with somewhat of a grain of salt, but I believe it's around like 80% of people, maybe it's like 50 to 80% of people to give a bigger range there, underestimate how much they eat, how many calories they eat a day on average, and overestimate how many calories they burn a day on average. So,
Absolutely.
simply putting, they're not moving as much as they think they are, and they're actually eating more than they think they are. And it's one of those things with having conversations with hundreds of clients at this point of asking them, what's the data? Like, what are the actual facts of the situation? I know you commented on my post the other day that I was talking about that, about tracking calories, where I get it. Like, for some people, it might not be the greatest idea from a disordered eating standpoint or where their mindset's at, where their headspace is at. Like, it might not make sense. But for a lot of us, the way I think about it is how we budget our finances. It's like,
Mhm.
where are you spending money? Where are you saving money? Like, that's not unhealthy to know what you're doing with your money. And it's probably actually relatively smart. So you can figure out where you can save more money. Not like, are you going out to eat too much? Can we make more meals at home and save money that way? Or are you shopping too much online? Like, whatever it may be, but it's just the awareness behind it, creating that self-awareness for yourself so you have the data to actually make some sort of an adjustment. And what typically comes to mind for me from a tracking standpoint is people who end up are like, oh, I'm snacking way too much. And I didn't even realize these snacks, I was probably having five portions of them versus the one portion I thought I was having. So it's pretty interesting what some self-awareness can just do as far as just giving you the answers as far as what's going on. And then you can start to make adjustments and make some changes from there. Even talking about CrossFit as well, I think I've probably even knocked CrossFit a little bit, but I actually find it like as a net positive thing
Yeah.
because I think it does do a lot more good than bad. And I think these days too, like there's a lot better even coaches versus it being like, hey, let's just kill you and have you burn as many calories as possible with actually no intention or no thought process behind the program. It's like, hey, we're gonna do 1,000 burpees, just do them. It's like, well, that's gonna kill anyone. But like what I do think it does a great job as, better than most, is one, it gets the community aspect very strong, which I think is very important. That's actually one of the what's it called? I forget. It's basically one of the main drivers of like motivation of that gives you motivation internally is a sense of community. There's,
Mhm.
competency, like when you develop more competency in yourself, more autonomy. There's one other one that I'm missing, but community is huge, especially for building some consistency and having something to look forward to. Plus, I think for CrossFit too, it actually in particular helped women start strength training more, like getting a
Oh, I was
barbell in
just
hands.
gonna say that. It was the instruction of it, like
Yeah.
how I thought I knew how to do a deadlift and, just you don't really do squats unless you're doing them, in a gym.
Hmm.
But it was also to your point about the tracking. We had a huge board up there and you'd track, and next to Katy, it was all of my things. And it was always the goal to say, I want to do heavier than that.
Yeah.
And then, at some point I was then, deadlifting, I don't even know what it was. Like I think I squatted, I can't remember the numbers, but it was like something where I was like, wow, I never thought,
Right.
I would do that. It just was, yeah, it's just, but I think it is one of those things where it's a different kind of a workout. And I think you've always said too that I don't care what you do. You want to
Hmm.
run, run. Like you want to do CrossFit, do CrossFit.
Yeah.
It, it's something that whatever is going to motivate you. I think for me, it was the freedom to know I didn't have to do that to see results. So especially for me, knowing that I really had to shift my workout times to home, that I'm like, this just isn't gonna work. So to be able to find something where I don't have to do, that type of workout,
Yeah.
at home. No, you still can do CrossFit type workouts at home, but it was not something that I loved the workout aspect of it. Like I loved, like you said, the friends, the
Yeah.
training, the pushing myself, but the workout itself,
Yeah.
I did not love.
Yeah. Just wasn't your jam. And I think that's an important
It's
part
three years
of,
old. Like, yeah, I'll
yeah.
never bash, CrossFit. Like I
Y-
loved it. We had a great
Yeah.
big box, as the CrossFitters call it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Make sure I use the right lingo because it's
Yeah.
been a few years. But no, I absolutely loved the years that I was there,
Good.
but was happy to find something that I could just embrace more just at home, giving me freedom that I just couldn't get if I was going to continue to go to, and that would be to any gym. So it
Yeah.
wasn't CrossFit specific, but
Right.
so
And to the point you were saying with like as far as like a baseline and like even I loved how you said just getting back to the basics because that's really what we need to do. It's just simplify it. We don't need these extremes or anything. But for most people, I'll always be biased towards strength training because there truly are so many benefits from not only like a muscle building standpoint, a fat loss standpoint, but like a bone density standpoint, just an overall health and quality of living standpoint. Because strength training, in my belief, is what translates over the most to life. You know, there's people who are like scared of strength training, think it's like dangerous or either going to make them bulky or whatnot. It's like, well, we still need to strength train because like when you sit down on the toilet and stand back up, you're squatting. When you pick up a kid or pick up a case of water, that's a deadlift. When you get yourself off the ground, that's like a push up into a lunge type thing. It's like these are all strength training movements we're doing day to day. And I think sometimes we get this image of like the bodybuilder or the power lifter deadlifting, 700 pounds. I'm like, yes, maybe we could get to that, but like that's probably going to take decades to get to. But just doing some sort of strength training, I'll always be biased towards. But before even that, like let's just get moving our body. Let's just find something we can be consistent with. I used to always say just pick something you love and do that. Like whatever's your favorite. But I've gone to learn that people don't like anything either. So I say pick the thing you hate the least and just pick that and do that. Whether it's yoga, Zumba,
there's no
CrossFit.
option of not doing it. But I do
Yes.
think your point about strength training is lost on a lot of people
Hmm.
who they'll maybe strength train 1 or 2 days a week and really rely on cardio. I just think they're just missing the boat. Like you're just building so much more muscle, and maybe there's some people who could do it in like 2 days. I don't see that that's possible. I think you probably need 3 days, if not
Right.
4 days of just sort of, breaking things up. But yeah, I completely, and I just think also, like you were saying, from a woman perspective,
Mm,
um, just being able to lift and then you see that, yeah, I look stronger, but I don't look like a bodybuilder. I don't look, anything like that. And
yeah.
the people who do, they put in, an extraordinary amount of time, effort into, stricter diets and, other things that, really make them look like that and they look amazing. But
Yeah.
I do think that people get that, women get that misconception that that's what they're going to look like if they start, lifting heavier weights.
For sure. And well, one thing I'll say too is Katie's pretty darn strong and only getting stronger. And you've gone pretty lean to this point. So yes, we're not that bulky bodybuilder or anything, which is very hard to achieve. Like I think I'm still trying to achieve it, and I've been doing this for over a decade pretty consistently. But even like funny story, I don't know if you know Jordan Syatt, but I was listening to his podcast the other day. He's a good friend, like big mentor of mine. And he has a world record for deadlifting 4 times his body weight. He deadlifted like 535 pounds at 132 pounds. And this was in his powerlifting years. So like very strong. But if you looked at him, he's very lean, he's very fit, but he is like, I'm bigger than he is, like muscle wise. And it's just there's sometimes the confusion of like muscle and strength, where strength
Yeah.
is actually very neurological. Like, you can actually get stronger in a couple weeks pretty quickly. You can get stronger in a set. Do you ever do a warm up set and it feels a little cranky, a little iffy, like doesn't feel that strong, and then you do it again, you're like, wow, I felt so much stronger that next set. It's because neurologically you have a lot more firing. It's almost like those army troops in our body and our muscles are firing. Like your brain's like, hey, we need more troops into those muscles if we do this movement again. And they send off the troops, and now you do it again, you do the movement again, it's because there's more troops, I like to call them, more army troops there to help support the movement. So you feel stronger in that movement. That's why obviously prep sets and stuff can be helpful. But one thing I actually want to ask you, because I know the answer, but I want everyone else to hear, how long do your workouts take?
Oh, but Kevin knows this. No more than 30 minutes.
Yep.
31 I'll give him, maybe 32.
Yep.
Um, try to get my workouts done in the morning,
Hmm.
um, which sometimes happens and sometimes doesn't. And then I love to be able to jump on. We have a treadmill. I love to be able to jump on the treadmill, even if it's for 15 minutes before I have
Sure.
to go shower and sort of start my day. But that, to me is like a requirement of
Yeah.
what I've always, said that I break mine out 4 days. I go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, typically, where I have, my workout. And again, it's anywhere from 28 minutes to maybe 32.
Yeah.
Um, because it's just, in the morning, I don't choose to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I
Yeah.
just don't.
Yeah.
So it works, and I've absolutely found great success. I think since I started, I want to say well, it's definitely over 25 pounds, so maybe it's up to 26
Yeah.
something. We still have a little bit more to go, but it is also one of those things that all of the pieces moving together, like it just works. And I'm not killing myself. I'm not miserable, where people think, oh God, what did it take you?
Yeah.
To do that. It takes some time. I probably could have been stricter
Hmm.
over the years, but I had 3 kids, two were in college at the time and traveling a ton for their sports and
Yeah.
everything in just life, like going out to dinner, once a week, twice a week, something.
Yeah.
You want to be able to still do some of those things, but it's the trade-off of time. But
Yeah.
I was happy that I did it
Yeah.
that way as well, because then I think just mentally I was able to really just stick with it versus, oh gosh, if I can only eat X,
Yeah.
calories for a day, every day for,
Sure.
6 months or whatever, I just would not have lasted myself.
Yeah, it's tough, especially like you said, with one having 3 kids, you're traveling a lot of weekends just for like kids' sports games. Like I know you're going to Addie's and Live sports games, and even Jack's at the time when he was in school. The reason I asked it is just so people can understand, like you don't need 4 to 6 days a week of an hour to 2 hours plus in the gym to get results. Like we could do that, but what are the trade-offs because of it? And that might be time away or just something that's unsustainable for your lifestyle. And you're just living proof that, hey, we can do 4 workouts a week, just 30 minutes, get your steps, like keep it simple and still make incredible results. And what you've shown too, and what you're saying is like, yeah, it might be a little bit slower. Like you could have been a little bit more strict, but then again, it's like you're still making progress and you're living a lifestyle that you enjoy. I don't want to speak for you there, but like
Yeah,
knowing you,
no.
but you're enjoying. And I love how you make that morning. Like the first question it's not even a question you ask of like, I don't make it a choice to wake up in the morning at 5. It's just what I got to do in order to do these things. It's not a question like, should I wake up and do this? It's like, well, we're always going to lean towards this world of comfort right now. The comfortable decision to say no, but let's not make it an option. Just like this is the time I got to wake up in order to get this workout in.
To be clear, and for anyone who's going to be listening to this who knows, I do not wake up at 5.
Yeah.
I usually wake up at like 6:30, and that's
Yeah.
kind of my point, is that I can't do an hour. I don't have that,
Yeah.
and I don't want to give up on my sleep.
Sure.
For that. It's just, but it's sort of that trade-off. So I think, yeah, people, you could probably work out for an hour, but why? If
Yeah.
you
Sure.
don't need to, I think is your point.
Right, exactly. And thanks for clarifying that. Now, Katie, did you, before starting, let's say when you first started your journey yourself, did you have any like doubts or fears or any sort of mindset struggles at the beginning or even beforehand?
Yeah, I would definitely say I did, and I think it came from just the fact that there's probably only one other time, probably after college, after you stop eating pizza all the time in New
Yeah.
Haven,
Yeah.
with this other good stuff that you're like, oh, all right, some of that weight definitely comes off. But then once you get into, sort of that, and then, for the women on, having children, and my first one, I was able to like bounce back pretty quickly. My
Hmm.
second one, I assumed that I would, and that didn't happen. And
Sure.
it was, another point in my life where I was like, wow, I've got to, figure something out. And then by the time I had the third, I was like the old pro at it.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, we're not going to make that mistake again. So, some of it was even just disappointment with myself.
Hmm.
God, how could you have gotten yourself, into this? And then you look back, like there's a million reasons. It's like I, had been off of, work for a few years and I went, back into work and working in an office and, driving 45 minutes every day. And so it's like you look back and like how it happened,
Hmm.
but it was really, the fear of like, oh gosh, like how long is this going to take me
Mm.
to be able to feel, good again. And that I think just comes in phases. I think it's, you'll get some wins, earlier on and you'll be like, okay, I can do this. And then you're gonna have like those ebbs and flows when you go away, when you go on vacation. And I think I
Mm.
just had to mentally prepare myself for that to say, all right, I'm not gonna go somewhere and not have a couple of drinks or like
Hmm.
dessert something like that. So again, it was a conscious trade-off, but I think that was probably my biggest sort of mindset concern going into it was like, wow, how am I going to navigate this? And quite honestly, needing outside help to do that,
Mm.
where I didn't really need that before. Like there was
Sure.
definitely, again, I worked out at, gyms and that sort of a thing, but I always knew enough where I knew what to do, sort of when to do, and that kind of, at least, from that time. So I think for this, it was just an overall shift of what am I eating? Is it making me feel better, worse? So that's a whole, one part of it is your food,
Yep.
and then the other is the exercise, part of it. So,
Hmm.
and I think quite honestly, and again, anyone who's on here who knows you is having that like cheerleader in your corner of just like,
Mm.
hey, hey, notice this. So even like
Right.
today, I don't even know if Kevin has seen this yet or not. Like I sent progress photos.
Hmm.
I probably took my last ones maybe 2 months ago. And I can see like little bits of things, but I'm like, God, they don't give me credit, for where I feel like I am. But I then flip back 4 months before then, six
Yeah.
months before then. And then, God forbid, when I ever look 3 years beforehand, you're
Yeah.
like, that's progress. So
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's also one of those things from a mindset perspective, just appreciating that progress is progress,
Yeah.
whatever that is. If it's lifting more week to week than you did on a particular um, you know, workout, or it's, seeing even if it's slighter movement. And then also, on the picture side, I think it's important to physically see how you're looking in the same bathing suit from year to, and then from saying,
Yeah.
I can't fit in that bathing suit anymore because it's huge, and
Yeah. Yeah.
moving like to other ones. So there was a lot of mindset things, which I think that in and of itself surprised me because I
Yeah.
didn't really think that I was that far off,
Right.
like
Right. No, for sure. And I think it's so important to reflect that this scale is not the only form of progress. And I always make the joke as far as at the end of the day, we're most likely looking for more of a physique than we are for a number on the scale, right? Because that scale can move, but our physique could, obviously change, but not get to the goal or the image we have in our head. Because I've known, obviously, again, working together for a while, there's been updates and progress pictures over like every other month or so, where it's like the scale might be a little stagnant, maybe moved like an inch or here and there, but we'll be like, hey, do you see your back though? Do you see those muscles that are coming in that weren't here before? Like, there's change, there's physical change happening. So that's why, obviously, not just solely focusing on the scale, but making sure we're checking all the other things. And not only that, like maintaining is progress, right? You're down about 20, 25 pounds since we started, I think, or even when you started, and being able to hold on to that, at least maintaining that progress in periods of the last, let's say year, with still making some dips recently, but being able to just hold on to that too and live your life through the holidays, through the summer, through all the travel with the kids and the games and whatnot, and still make progress in some months, but maintain in other months. It's like that's all still progress too, because it's
yeah,
something that you're showing that you now have ownership of this current weight and of this current physique that no matter the life or what curveballs are thrown in your life, we're still keeping the goal the goal. We're still staying on track with our workouts, overall nutrition. Like, yes, it's we're always taking care of it to a certain extent. Some months it might be, hey, I'm 90%, 95% consistent this month. The next month it might be, hey, I'm 75, 80% consistent this month. But we're always still taking care of it. It's never like 0 or 100. Um, so I love that. I think that's a phenomenal point or points you made. Now, was there any moments during that, during maybe the mental struggles, or not even the mental struggles, I don't want to call them, but when you're maybe challenged by a vacation or even any other aspects that might have challenged you, where you had this aha moment where it's like, oh, this actually makes a lot of sense, or this is clicking more, or I'm buying into this more where, I can go on the vacation, enjoy guilt free and just get back on track or something like that. It doesn't have to be that exact example, but anything come to mind there?
Yeah, I would definitely see it is the like when you talk about the scale, like
Hmm.
it is a component, it is, quote unquote important when you look at the overall and if you're plugging your things into your MyFitnessPal or whatever and being able to see that sort of, peak and valley
Yeah,
of each of them. And I think, for me sort of, both ways was I'm someone who's 90% consistent on the week. Like I like just eating a lot of the same things for my breakfast, for my lunch. I just enjoy it. It's easy and it's quite frankly mindless so that it's one less thing I have to, worry about, think about type of a thing. Um, but I would say there's definitely been two aha moments that I can, think of
sure.
where one was positive and one was sort of like okay, like maybe you'll do that a little bit differently. Where I would, if we were going out or we had like a longer weekend, and then you would step on the scale on that, Monday, and you'd be like, oh my God.
Sure.
Wednesday, Thursday, like it's back to normal. Like there was
Sure.
no foul. So I think that was something good for me to be able to see. And you always just reinforce with me too, because I'm one who I eat like 5 meals a day, just
Hmm.
for it just feels better, for me to eat every few hours. And where I would say, oh God, I had, I ate out this night, I was at a broker event, I was at this, da 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 da. And you'd be like, okay, so what is that? 3 meals out of
Yeah.
the 49 that you've had this week. And then you're like, yeah, you're right. Like
Yeah.
percentage is so tiny.
Yeah.
So like that was always a great realization for me too. But I also think one of the other things, and I think you had a video or a blog on it in particular, was also just getting yourself back on track
Hmm.
once you have gone away for the week and a half, whatever it is, because I've also, reality is if you're eating tons of calories for 2 weeks, on end, you're not going to
Hmm.
be exactly where you were, where
Sure.
you started it. So it was one of those things too of thinking like, I can't take advantage of that in my sort of headspace, thinking like, oh, well, when I do that for a day or two, everything comes back fine. But it was the reality of saying, okay, now you got to get back on the horse, back to your consistency. And then a week, 2 weeks from then you say, all right, now I'm back,
Yeah.
to normal. So I think it's um, the timing of it too, of just a weekend versus, a longer vacation. It just takes a little bit longer to get back to, but you're not starting over, from scratch. You have 98% of everything already done. It's
Yeah.
just, getting back to, to both of those. So I've seen, both of that where, I just remember not this past holiday season, the holiday before, I would say I probably went a little more nutty on, food, drink, and whatever. And then I came back and I was like, whoa, what have
Yeah.
I done?
Yeah.
But then you get back on, and it was
Yeah.
maybe in that instance, it was maybe like a couple of weeks, month, before I felt like I was like back to where I was. But again, you are also one who always like reminds us just to look back and say, well, did you regret going out with your nieces and your,
Yeah.
everyone else? No, nope. Don't regret one bite, one like any of that. It's just, again, it's a trade-off at the time, but knowing like it's not forever. Like you
Hmm.
built all of this, you didn't lose everything because you went a little hog wild for, a while.
Hmm.
Just getting yourself, back into it and just, back to what your consistency was before.
Right. And even like sum up everything you just said there is taking, the vacation, taking those, 3 meals that were off track, let's call them, taking that time that's off track. What we have to do sometimes is zoom out. Let's look at the bigger picture here, because that's what we're doing. It's like, all right, yes, if you're having, 5 meals a day, 7 days a week, 35 meals overall for the week, let's look at it at that standpoint, where it's like, okay, you had 3 meals that were, you know, different foods, maybe more processed, junky, whatever you want to call them, but let's call it off track, not the plan. But that means the other 32 are on plan. And that means like if you get a 32 out of 35 on the quiz, like that's a pretty darn good score. And we're really just trying to get B's here in this class because B's
Yeah,
can do really well and get results here. So if we look at it that way, it's like, oh, like you're still good. Like you had 3 meals, but you had 35 during the week. That's great. Now, if someone has 21 meals in a week, cool. Let's make, 16, 17, 18 of those meals on track. And then, yeah, still keeping other flexibility and somewhat moderation most of the time. I understand there's the indulge once in a while in life, but as far as for most of the time, if we're keeping things in moderation, but again, still allowing yourself that flexibility, you're going to be just fine. And then if we look at the year as a whole and you took a week vacation and enjoyed yourself, cool, it's 1 week out of the entire year. Now, I know that does happen multiple times throughout the
yeah,
year,
for sure.
but again, bigger picture, if we're 80% consistent, I don't know what that is from days, if we're taking 362 days and divided it by 80% or multiplying it by 80%. But there's a lot of days we can have some flexibility, to say the least.
Yeah.
So we really just end up looking at it like these little blips are just blips, like the little blips in time. It's really not all that big of a deal. And I think as humans, we catastrophize things. We take 1 meal off track and it's like the end
Yeah.
of the world. But I think sometimes whatever the case is, whether it's with a relationship, whether it's with a job, a career, or even your fitness and nutrition, and something feels a little off, in our brain, it's going to be way worse than what it actually will end up being. So I think sometimes we can catastrophize things in our own head. So I love a lot what you said there, and I think that's a good reflection for people to listen to, where it's like, hey, life's gonna life. Just stay consistent, get back on track. And the other thing with getting back on track too that I'll add, and then I'll shift here, is one, try to get yourself back on track as soon as possible. Like whether it's the next meal, the next day, or the next week, whatever that situation and scenario is. Because I think the other part of this, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but the longer you wait, the harder it will get.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I would definitely say that the two Christmases ago was one of those where, it's we still have cookies in the house, you still have like this or whatever, and you'd, get another day or, two out of it. So I agree with you that it's just because then it's like, we would joke in our house about, when people are like starting their fitness, I'm going to start on Monday, or I'm going to start next Monday, and I'm going to
Mhm.
one of those things where I completely agree with you. And, to me, I think even having the snacks, having the other stuff, I would just put some away, put it in the freezer, and then over the weekend, that's what I would have with, my dessert so that you're not like saying goodbye to it forever. Like it's just not like that. And then you're just fitting it into your numbers.
Hmm.
Like, I want the cookie, then I'm gonna have less of something else because, that's what I want. I'm just not gonna eat like, and abandon all of my sort of regular focus that I would have.
Yeah, for sure. How do you make that work as far as having the cooking still hitting your numbers?
It's interesting. So I loved how in the earlier segment of this I gave myself apparently I think I eat 7 meals a day. It really is just five, so it's 35 a week and not 49. But I laughed when I thought I was like 49, where the heck did I
Like,
go?
wow, that's a lot of meals. No,
I don't know.
you're
I was
good.
gonna say I'm eating every 2 hours.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But for me, it's I again have a lot of the same thing. I front loaded like a lot of my protein, like not a ton of it, but a good bit of it, like
Yeah.
protein shake in the morning, and then I have like egg whites and oatmeal after.
Yep.
So then if I know I'm gonna have something, I plug it in for like my snack as they show it on like my Fitness Pal, and then I just adjust
Yeah.
other things within it. And again, I think it's a lot of people don't love to hear the, tracking sort of part of it, but you don't know until you're like you have a handful of chips, but then you come back and you have another handful of
Yeah.
chips or whatever. That other handful of chips is still weighs as much as what just ate. So for me, it just makes sense of just you plug it in and then you're able to just sort of maneuver things from there. Like you feel like it's a little bit of
Yeah.
Tetris. It's not a game that I've ever really played other than I do with my food. If you're trying to like fit things in, you're saying, all right, I need a little more protein here, I need a little bit more here, but to me it's just such a normal way of life, and I'm not at this point I'm not obsessive about it. Like I know what I eat, and it's literally copy paste every day.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm still measuring certain things like my protein, like I'm taking 2 scoops of protein, or I'm
Yeah.
like taking a third of a cup of oatmeal, or whatever it is. But then there's other things that I don't weigh, I don't measure, because they're just sort of puts and takes from there. But I
Hmm.
definitely, if I know that I absolutely want whatever that is, I just schedule it in and, sort of go from there.
Yes, and I'm so happy you shared it. There's actually two things, and you said this earlier as well. There's 2 points you've made that I absolutely love, and I think are fantastic that everyone should take away. Is one, what you're saying is you plan, like you're really good at planning. You just plan it in, right? You're proactive on the process rather than waiting to figure out like can you fit this in or can this
Yeah,
work or fuck it, I'm just gonna have it anyways. You
I
plan
do
it
do that
in.
sometimes as
And
well.
you like you're saying, like you have enough protein to give you the edge for the day. So like you're still like ahead of pace is what I like to call it. You're just ahead of the pace. So that's great. It's a great way to make it easier on the end of the day as needed. But then you already know ahead of the time, like, hey, I'm having the cookie or the ice cream or whatever later, and it's just already planned into my calories. I think truly one of the best ways to be more disciplined in life is to just be really good at planning.
Yeah.
Because I think a mom of three, dogs, husband, like all this stuff going on, kids playing sports and a job, like your career, I know is pretty busy and you're even making a shift there. So there's a lot going on. There's so many decisions you're making each day, like so many. Like
Yeah.
I think the average person makes 35,000, you're probably making 45,000 a day. So if we have to add even a couple more decisions to that, it's just going to make winging it that much harder. And like that battery, that discipline and willpower battery is going to be used throughout the day. And we just want to make it as efficient as possible and use it in a sense where we really do need it.
Mhm.
But when we make these decisions as far as like, all right, this is the cookie I'm having, this is the calories I'm having, this is my breakfast, this is my lunch, this is my dinner, all these things, making those decisions ahead of time, you just really just follow through with it at that point because you already have the decision made. Now there's layers to it where it's like we can do some meal prep. We got to make sure we have the groceries. Again, this is where it gets maybe a little bit more individualized as far as how someone prepares themselves, whether it's just having the groceries on hand. Maybe they got to go another step and bulk cook some
Yeah.
certain foods. Maybe they actually have to put it all into containers, depending on an individual's lifestyle, what works best for them, what they can do. But it just is going to add such a easier approach to the day and to the week with your nutrition. And then the last thing you said as well is you eat similar foods. Now, this is like one of the biggest points I make to make tracking your calories easier is to just eat similar foods. Doesn't mean you can't have variety and doesn't mean I'm saying only eat broccoli and chicken every single meal, but have a similar meals, like maybe 1 to 3 options for breakfast, 1 to 3 options for lunch, and then maybe dinner can be more on that like 1 to 5, 1 to 6, some a little bit more flexibility there, or a little bit more variety is a better way to say it there. But it makes tracking that much easier when you're just having the
So
same
much easier.
things day over day, right? And doing that again, 80% of the time at least. Like again, here and there might be a little bit different. Weekends might be a little bit different, but for the most part, 80% of the year, if you're eating similar foods, tracking's easy because now you just check off the box and plug it in. And sorry to keep rambling on here, but you were saying something along the lines of like tracking is just what you do now. It's just something that's so second nature to you, which might have not been the case at first. Like it took time and effort, but just like any other skill, whether it's speaking, whether it's a sport, whether it's a job, whether it's playing an instrument, yeah, it's going to be a little shaky at first. You're going to suck at first, but the more you do it, the more reps you get, the more adapted you to it, and the better you develop your skills with that thing, and the more second nature it ends up becoming. Just like
Yeah,
going to the gym. At first, going to the gym 2, 3, 4 times a week could be a lot, could be challenging, could be a lot of resistance until you get to a point, whether it's months or years down the line where it's just, this is just what I do. It's just something
part of your
is,
life.
yeah, part of your life. Perfect way to say that.
Yeah, like it's, and I think it's even when you say about the food, and I, for those listening, I mean, I do for the majority of the time work from home, so it's definitely I get a little bit more flexibility because I don't have to prep a ton of things ahead of time, but just like my protein shake, I have strawberries in it. It's like a vanilla protein shake, but I have strawberries. If you want blueberries, you put blueberries. Like you can have, certain things, but it is so easy to me to just not have to think about what I'm eating for 3 or 4 of my 5 meals. It's
Sure.
usually dinner is just my plug-in numbers that I have based on how much chicken did I have in my,
Yep.
salad, or how much croutons did I have, or cheese, or, whatever else in my, um, salad. But it makes it so much easier
Mm,
just mentally for me. And I'm sure some people do, struggle with that, but I think it's once you find a few of those meals or those types of things that you could very easily, interchange different things that, maybe from a calorie perspective, they're the same.
hmm.
It just makes your life so much easier to do. And like we always have grilled chicken in this house. Like it's just my husband makes tons
Yeah.
of he hates making tons of it, but he makes tons of it.
But that's your job, Craig.
That's exactly what he said. That's so funny you said that. But it's just you have it, and it's easy. And for those days that I'm on the road, I will maybe switch around my food and
Mm,
not have my protein shake in the morning. I'll have my eggs and oatmeal before I leave the house so that I can take that same protein shake, have it made, and take it in the car, with me, for later. And then, depending upon, sometimes you have to rely on a protein bar or something like that, but I
sure.
tried not to. Like I try
Mm,
to, I think that was one of the other things too, was eating more real food
mm.
whenever I can. Um, because I just think it makes me feel better. And not from the perspective of, oh my God, I'm so much better because I'm eating real food, but like truly feeling better because it doesn't have like preservatives and everything else, things
Right.
that I never really worried about or really thought about before. And now I know the difference when I go out and I eat whatever. Like I will eat any, like whatever it will be, but then you feel it the next day because it's not like what your normal food is. But yeah, I think
Right.
your point is just find things that you like, and then you can hopefully just interchange them, and it just makes it so much easier, for you and staying on track.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, has this whole journey over the last couple of years, I always hate using the word journey, by the way. I feel like it's so cheesy and whatnot, but I can never think of a better word for it. But has this whole process, maybe a better way to put it, have you noticed it's impacted any other areas of your life as far as like work stuff, as far as relationship stuff, parenting stuff, social stuff? Like, has it added any value or changes in areas of those life in your life?
Yeah, because I would say before, like once you sort of have that realization that
Hmm.
you're very far from a fitness and looks perspective than where you've been and what you want to be. Like, it definitely weighs on anyone. Like you just don't feel great about yourself. So I think like once you start all of that, there's definitely a lot of pride to that too, where I'm like, wow, I've lost 10 pounds, I've lost 15, like, whatever that number was. So each month when I would look at, even if it was 3/10 of a pound, I'd be like, wow, I'm like, all right, I'm still making,
Yeah.
progress is progress. But yeah, I would just say if it's something that's important to you, and our health certainly should be important to us, but
Hmm.
it's our looks do matter as well. Like how do we feel in our clothes?
Mm,
Um, and how do we feel like we look in our clothes and everything else? I think that definitely just plays out in, all different areas from a confidence.
Yeah.
perspective. And then certainly the food aspect of it is just, you never realize, at least I never realized just how yuck and just terrible I felt until I really tried to eat more normal foods and not rely on things that are overly processed. Like I'm not one of these crunchy kind of people who, are like, you have to have everything organic and da da da.
Yeah.
Like my husband will make fun of me because he'll say that I do, but there's definitely things that I'm like, no, I want to have this as organic. I think it's once you start reading more and knowing more, and it matters in how you feel. And I
Mm.
absolutely feel the difference. I know I've said it to you at least,
Yeah.
dozens of times where I'm like, oh my God, oh, like we had the best dinner out or we had blah blah blah, but I feel like absolute garbage.
Sure.
And it's just, again, it's not that I won't go do it again because I'll do it again,
Yeah,
like
of
next week
course.
on vacation and everything else. But so I think it is one of those things where it really lends a lot, to anyone, that if you feel good about yourself and you feel good, like not even from the looks perspective, it just, spills over and into the rest of everything else because it's not something that's just sort of hanging on you saying, oh God, I feel awful, or
Yeah.
oh, I don't feel like comfortable in what I'm wearing or confident in, what I'm wearing.
Yeah. So it's funny when you say that, I think this is when I first started coaching, when I'm not gonna say it's a mistake I made. I think I just emphasized it too much because this is something that helped me. Like simply when someone told me, "Hey, you can eat whatever you want as long as you manage your calories to this certain number, like you'll lose weight." So I did that, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a pizza. I'm gonna fit it into my calories. I'm gonna have the ice cream. I'm gonna fit it into my calories. But yes, I was still trying to hit my protein goal, still prioritizing a lot of protein, trying to get my fruits and my vegetables in. But simply just someone giving me that permission as far as like, you don't have to demonize these foods
Yeah,
or put a bad label on them. It just gave me this mental click. Like, this is almost my aha moment of like, oh, okay, so let me try this. I was doing it, I was making progress, and I was like, holy shit, this actually works. Like, I can still have my favorite foods and still make progress because of it. But on the other tail end of that, it's like that's the way I really went about it because that's what a big thing that helped me personally. And I think it does help a lot of other individuals as far as like giving yourself permission to eat these foods. There's nothing bad
yeah.
about them. We don't have to label them as good or
No
bad.
bad food. Yeah.
But now saying that, there's something to be said about eating your fruits and vegetables, eating your protein, eating whole foods, minimally processed foods, not from the other foods are bad, but like how this is going to physically make you feel. You're going to physically feel better. You're going to have better energy. You're going to have better hunger management. Your digestion will be better. Like all these areas that make us feel good day to day and gives us that good energy are going to come from these whole minimally processed foods. But again, both can be the same. Doesn't mean say no to the other stuff, but just try
Absolutely.
to prioritize these things most of the time, and then we'll find this good balance. And even like you were just saying, there's like, yes, I will go out and have a drink and have the dessert and enjoy myself and finish next day. It's not like your day to day, week to week. Oh, am I freezing here?
A little bit.
All right. Well, we're still gonna keep this rolling. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but I even lost my train of thought. I got so easily distracted.
Oh, you're saying
Um,
like demonizing,
y-
foods. Like you find something like, me, I have my, it's a brand Arbonne protein. I make a chocolate
yeah,
protein ice cream. And
yeah,
you can get like, because I have my, what is it, Ninja Creamy thing, which I love because every night I have that. I have Cool Whip on it. I have
yeah.
Hershey syrup. I measure them out or whatever, and I love it.
Yes,
But it's years ago, I would have never thought I could have that every night and still make progress. So I think it's just,
sure.
like you said, like just finding those, foods. But, do I have Hershey syrup at every of my meals? No, I don't.
No.
But
Yeah.
absolutely
I
have
wish
it,
I could.
every night. Yeah, 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 exactly. But I do think that that's a great message and definitely something that you've always said is just, you want the cookie, have the cookie. You want the donut, have the donut. You want the pizza, have the pizza. And you just have to work around it. And it makes people, I think, feel better knowing that I don't have to give up my blah, blah, blah. Like, no, you can't have pizza for every meal every day. Like you're just not going to make progress, or you're going to have two pieces of pizza a day. Like you're just
Right.
not going to be able to sustain yourself.
Right.
Um, but I do think that is a very like mentally freeing concept for people to understand that there is no food that is off limits. You just can't have, you know, 12 donuts every day.
Yeah.
Like you can just, like you've shown on a couple of your things, you can have a donut a day.
Yeah.
Like
Donut a
you
day,
eat
daily
breakfast,
donut.
and I've seen you go through that 2 or 3 times. So it
Yeah.
isn't like it's a fluke thing either. Like you've literally done that. So I do think that's a very freeing concept for most people to
Yeah, for
understand. There's
sure.
no food that's off limits.
Right. And like you're saying, it's yes, you can have donuts, nothing but donuts, but the trade-offs because of it are just gonna like you're gonna be hungry all the time. You're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna be tired. You're gonna be foggy. You're gonna be groggy. You're gonna be all these things. Again, if you can hold your own on it, great for you. But like your health's probably gonna be a little impacted since you're not having any protein or whatnot. Um, but yeah, I think that's a great point to make. Where it's like, yes, have the flexible foods, but also remember what this is going to make you feel like. How do we want to feel day to day internally and all that stuff. Now, Katie, a couple more questions here. Um, if someone was just starting on their own fitness journey, what is one piece of advice you'd give them?
Um, I personally would say would be the walking aspect of it.
I love that.
The value of just simple steps. Um,
Hmm.
because I think the food thing is something I think people know they have to, address in some way, but I also think people think that most people would think that, oh my God, I have to do this crazy, crazy, cardio to be able to, get in shape. And this is not discounting everything you said about weights, because I do think weights are incredibly important, but just knowing that, you need to still keep your body moving. And, I do 10,000 steps. There's, others who do more or do less. Like it's all sort of what was your baseline and just increasing it, a bit, from there, and that you can find the time to do it. It isn't that it's, that, time consuming from that perspective. But yeah, I would definitely say that was probably one of the bigger things for me, was that I didn't need to do sort of punishing type workouts in order for it to
Yeah,
be effective.
for sure. And it's like so great. You can do it anywhere. You can do
Yeah.
it anytime. You
Watch
can
my
do
shows
it. It's free.
on my,
Um,
yeah, I do it on the treadmill, because then I like just binge watch certain shows, and I just keep that on my, treadmill, and that's what I, pop on and
I'm the
do.
same exact way. Like we'll go to the gym and again, luckily we're very blessed to live here in beautiful San Diego and we live our gym's me and my wife, me and Shan's gym's right on the boardwalk.
Mm.
So we typically like to start with, 10, 20 minutes of walking before we get cranking. And she'll be like, "Oh, do you just want to walk on the boardwalk?" I'm like, I want to go on the treadmill and watch like YouTube or something. Like that's what I'd like to do. Or there's a sports game on, like golf was on this morning. I know the Open's on, the major championship. So I was like, I'm gonna go watch my phone and watch golf while I walk on the treadmill. Even though, yeah, the beach is right there and it's really cool, it's really nice, and that's probably like the mentally healthier thing to do. But I like my treadmill walks, just to entertain myself. So I'm all about
I was
that.
in San Diego though. I would be with Shannon. I'd be picking the
Yeah,
beach. I live in Connecticut, so
yeah,
we have beaches, but I don't have
yeah,
one right next door.
yeah. I love that. Okay, so here's a question. This is we're gonna have one more, I guess, serious question, then we're gonna do a little fun like rapid fire thing. So this does not have to be fitness related. This doesn't have to be, health or whatever our thing related, but more on if you have any like life advice. But say you're walking by a younger Katie, maybe she's like 10, 12 years old, and you walk by her today. What is one piece of advice you give her?
Oh gosh, one. That'd be quite a few things, I think.
You're like, girl, we got to work on
Um,
some things.
Yeah, to me, I think it would be just don't be afraid to try something,
I love that.
even if it's outside of your, comfort zone. So
Hmm.
whether that's, joining a sport or,
Mm.
whatever it may be, that, just not being afraid of that, and, being too worried about what will people think, and, that kind of a thing. I think it's very freeing when, you see young people who are just like, sure, I'll try that. And if I fail, I fail. Who cares?
Bless
I
them.
did definitely didn't have that
Sure.
attitude as a younger kid. I just sort of like go with the flow, and Hey,
Yeah.
sure, if I get invited to do something, I'll do it, but not necessarily really branching out on my own from that
Yeah.
perspective.
I love that. I think that's phenomenal advice. And even to add to that, like, again, maybe not the best mental way to go about thinking about that or just like taking the risk. But I always just tell myself, like, I'm going to die someday. Like, none of this matters at the end of the day. Like, I'm just going to die. And, we try to
True. A
leave
little
us.
morbid, but true.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But, I mean, the
Don't want
reality
to
is,
regret. Like you just, and I had a great childhood. Like it's not that, but
yeah.
you look back and you're like, God, I
But you,
wish,
you still
I
think
wish
about
I
it.
did some other, things that, even if my parents weren't, pushing me into doing or even
Sure.
encouraging me to do, that I just wish I was like, hey, I want to do this, or.
Mm. For sure. And I think it makes sense. I think as a lot of people struggle with, even at like a younger age, is just kind of worried about what people think. I think it's a tough struggle a lot of us face. And probably I honestly still face that today myself. So can very much understand that. All right. So we're going to have a little fun with somewhat of a rapid fire random questions here. All right. First one up. Favorite donut.
I did work at Dunkin' Donuts for years.
Oh, French crawler. Best donut out there.
I'd have to say blueberry cake is my favorite.
Mmm, blueberry cake. I like that. Favorite gym song, pump up gym song.
Oof. Probably going to be in 80s or 90s metal.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, I don't know that I have like one, but yeah, it
Okay.
would probably be more like 90s metal type stuff.
Okay. Is there
And
a certain band?
again, I went
All of
everywhere
them.
from, yeah, let's see, Def Leppard to
Cool.
there's a million of them over the years. Even
Okay,
though
we got
country is my favorite now
okay.
genre, but back then it absolutely would have been like gym. When I think of like
Sure.
gym stuff, it's definitely like 90s rock.
I love that. What's your favorite gym movement or exercise?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, I would have to say it's probably a deadlift because,
Oh,
and I'll have to text it to you later because I am going to go find what it was, but I think I got up to like maybe 225, something like that.
wow.
And it was one of those where, um, leg exercises I really was able to do like a lot of it. And I just was very proud of it, like thinking like, oh, look at that. I used to like send pictures of it to my son to say, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did all of that. But yeah, it probably was probably one of
I
my
love that. Deadlifts are awesome. They're a very empowering movement because
yeah,
I think you can develop a lot of strength with them, and you can be like, "Holy shit,
yeah,
I just lifted up, two of me pretty much. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy."
Believe me,
Um,
there's other things where bench I was horrible at, like just terrible. But
yeah. It's so funny. When I was in my powerlifting days, I love deadlift because it was my best lift.
yeah.
Like that's just simply put. And I hated bench press because that was my worst lift, and I always suck at it. But I love that. What is one food you will forever refuse to give up?
Ooh, ooh. Um, I will say it's ice cream, but
Yeah,
it's like I said, I have like found a protein
yeah.
version of that.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, but I would say ice cream. It's just
Ice
one of
cream.
those like just and again when you like we're on vacation next week, so you have real ice cream and you're like,
Yeah.
this is
What's your
just
favorite flavor of ice cream?
oof, that's another tough one. I love so many. It has to be chocolate. I am one of those where
Chocolate.
it has to be like it has a chocolate in it. So
Chocolate
it
in
can
it.
be
Okay,
like
gotcha.
chocolate chip, or it can be like Rocky Road, or
Yeah.
that, or just straight chocolate chip. But yeah, and when it comes to
Okay.
dessert, I have to have some chocolate in there.
I love
Or
it.
not really dessert, like apple pie. That seems like it's great. And don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's apples.
I love it. And then last one, what's your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, God, so many. Um,
She's got a list of them.
I was just gonna say, from a work perspective, it's reply all. When people hit reply
Oh,
all,
yes.
and it's like 50 people on it. So that's
That's a good
definitely
one.
like just my biggest pet peeves.
I can see you just getting that email and rolling your eyes and be
Oh
like,
my
you
God.
son of a
And
gun.
like my whole team knows that too. Like they'll like laugh like when someone and I'll get an IM, they'll be like, I can't believe they replied all. I'm like, oh, guys.
That's so funny. That's a very good one. I didn't think of that one, but that's a good one from a work standpoint.
Yeah.
Um, well, Katie, is there anything else you want to chat about? Is there anything else you wanted to go over or share with people?
No, no, I just have to say like, shout out to you of just that weekly, just how are you doing? And just, you know, sort of keeping me motivated over the last couple of years. And again, it's like I was saying before about the scale and you see on your MyFitnessPal and you're just like, it's the, peaks and valleys and just having someone there who's with you for all of them and adjusting where you need to and
Mm.
everything. It's been invaluable to me for sure. For
I
sure. Just
appreciate it. Well, you've been great to work with. Like I said, when you have someone like you who hits the ground running and is very coachable and so many great aspects of it, and the motivation and conversations come here and there for the most part, but you always listen to them. Like if there's a moment of like, hey, this is spiking up, but it's like, hey, it's okay. You're like, yes, it is okay. I just needed to get it off my chest type deal, but it's all good.
like you need to just
No,
complain about it for a second. Like, oh my God, did you see that?
no, it's been great. I mean, it's been awesome seeing you transform physically, mentally, even though you got a good head on your shoulders still. But seeing like the growth throughout this process has been very cool on my end, and I feel just as blessed, if not more blessed, to be a part of this journey. So I appreciate you for everything, not only coming on this podcast, but everything over the last couple of years, and it's been great. Like I said, at the beginning of this podcast too get to obviously help you out, but I'll also know you on a personal level and have even more of a deeper relationship that is outside of just this whole fitness thing, but as like a friendship as well, and getting to know Jack, Liv, and Addie. Which, by the way, I still feel guilty for getting Addie early on. So, Addie, I apologize if you are
She's
listening
the
to
sweet
this.
one. She'll forgive you for it. The other two, probably.
Probably not. That's why I said though. No, but Addie, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah,
It's on me. I'll buy you a t-shirt or give you a KPD fit shirt or something.
there you go.
But Katie, no, I do appreciate you. I'm rambling on this, but I appreciate you. I love you a bunch and look forward to, whatever else brings us on our journey. But thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
Thanks for having me. This was really fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, for everyone listening in, I appreciate you for listening. Don't forget to leave a beautiful, good old 5-star review. And as always, I believe in you. Go eat the damn donut, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.
Take care.